Hello everyone, and welcome to floss tube number 69. I have my notes over here, so you may see me looking down quite a bit because I have all my numbers there. If you are new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. You will find on my channel both card making and cross stitch. So if it says floss tube, it's my cross stitch. If it says Facebook Live or Paper Pumpkin, it's my card making. So welcome. If you are looking for cross stitch, you found the right place. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I have a lot to show you today. I did the Arbitrary August, which was one of the events in Whip Warriors. And so I did a different project every day in the month of August, so 31 different projects. And I did 200 stitches, at least 200 stitches on each one. So that was a lot of fun. I have to admit, I am looking forward to not switching out projects every day now for a little bit, but it was a lot of fun. Some of those projects I hadn't worked on in probably several years. So that was a lot of fun. But we're gonna start with fully finished objects, and these are not cross stitch, but cross stitch related. So I took a day and made across a couple of days, made 7 project bags. I have 5 of them to show you right here, and then the other 2 have things in them, and I'll mention them as I show you. But these were, and I didn't unzip these, using the Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch tutorial, the one that's just the fabric. There's no vinyl front on these. They are not perfect. I am not a seamstress. They are just for me, so they work. Like one of my friends, my friend Michelle from Canada, I said, yeah, because she's a quilter. And I said, they are not perfect at all. And she said, yeah, but they're functional. I said, you're right, they are functional. So let me show you these real quick, and then we'll get into all the stitching that I did. So here's one of them, the same on the front and back, and then the inside is this green batik maybe. So I had bought a bunch of fabric, and I kind of switched some around, and so this one is that same batik that's on the inside, but now there's a blue, and that blue is what's on the inside of this one, and the back is still that same green. So I had several of those that I just kind of switched out the different. So this one is the dark blue, and then the inside has that lighter. And then I had gone for zippers, and while I was at the quilt shop getting zippers, I found this fabric. So this beautiful, and then this beautiful floral. And then I have another one that is, this is the main fabric, and this is the accent, which we'll get to in one of my whips, because I started using some of these. And then I wanted one that was somewhat patriotic, but not necessarily only patriotic, so I got these. So the blue on the inside. And then, like I said, I have 2 more that have, some has some haul in it that I'll show you, and the other one has a whip in it. So I'll point that out. You'll probably be able to figure it out, but I'll point that out as I get to it. Okay, so now we're ready to do, let me make sure I'm looking at my notes here. Okay, Whip Go. I didn't pull those out. They're a part of my Arbitrary August, so I'll just mention when I get to those that they were also Whip Go. So let's just start with Arbitrary August. And I just assigned each whip to a day, and then they spun a wheel every day, and that told us which whip we were working on. So we will just go through these in order. The first one is Dressmaker's Daughter, and I got 204 stitches done on it. Let me show you. This is what it will look like when it's finished. And I am working on the summer. Somewhere I have my board. Got buried under my project bags. I'm working on the summer one. Sorry, that was probably kind of loud. And like I said, I did 204 stitches on this one for the Arbitrary August. I've unzipped all my bags, but I am going to put things back in there just because otherwise I will have even more of a mess. Let me scoot this a little bit closer so I don't have to bend over so much. Okay, Number 2 is Spring Alphabet Garden. And I'm working on, this was a class that I took at my LNS, Shepherd's Needle from Jeanette Douglas. And I'm working on this drum piece right here. And I forgot to tell you, Dressmaker's Daughter is on the called for fabric, which is like chocolate milk, I think. Milk chocolate linen. It doesn't say if it's Wichelt or Zweigart, but it's one of those. Okay. And this one is a 36 count. Let me see. Oh, I made a card. 36 count Valley Forge by Needle and Flax. And I did 229 stitches on this. It's kind of wrinkly. I did not iron anything. So there's where we are now. Fabric is a little bit darker than what it's showing. It's a nice sunny day out, so I've got natural light coming in from a window, plus I have my ring light, so hopefully we'll have good light today. All right, that was number 2. Number 3 was Seasons of the Heart by Brenda Gervais. And I'm working on the summer one still. I've finished spring. So this is the one I'm working on, summer. And I did 259 stitches on this. And this is where we are. So I do have, here, let me take this one side off anyway. I was working on this over the weekend, and I think it's my temperature stitch for today, but I do have the border done on this side, and then there's border along the bottom and this side. There's some different flowers in the beehive, a couple of beehives. And this is on 32 count Vintage Country Mocha. And like I said, I think this is what I will be working on when I'm done shooting this video. It's the temperature call for today. And I'll go over all that in my plans. Okay, sorry, I'm just putting this back. And then number 4 is Oops-a-Daisy. And this is my other, one of my other bags. Oops. So this is the one where I have the floral as the main and then this stripe as the accent, and the inside is that stripe. This one I did while traveling too, so it got more than just its day. Oh, it goes this way. I put a little stitch up here so I know which was the top. This got 626 stitches total. So it's getting close. Depending on how much it gets called, I've got it in my temperature stitching also. I might finish it this month, which would be nice. All right, and then that was number 4. Number 5, oh, and it's on, sorry, it's on a 32 count. I think it was just something I had in stash. Nightshade. No, it's not. I bought it at my LNS. Nightshade. BCD is the fabric dyer. That's my LNS abbreviation. One of these days I will remember to get a list of what those are, because I can't think what BCD would be. All right, number 5 is Extraordinary Birds. And I'll have to put a picture in of what it's going to look like. We have the full thing now. Let me check off this one. And I'm way behind. There were 14 parts altogether. I think I'm on 7, maybe. It's really been a lot of fun. Maybe I'm ready for 8 now. This one I also did outside of just the arbitrary August. And so total on this one I did 1,624 stitches. So this is the whole thing pretty much. can't see this shoe bill over here. Let me take that off too. So somebody there's a Facebook group, a Lola Crow Stitch Along Facebook group. There, now you can see. There is a little bit of the structure up there, but that's all. There aren't any birds up there. But somebody had posted a link to this, I think it's a shoe bill. And when they snap their beak, they said it sounds like guns, and it does. It's crazy. You should go look it up if you haven't seen that. Okay, I don't have to put all that back together. And this is on 32 Count Ancient by Picture This Plus. I did not have the called for Be Stitch Me. I was in their Fabric of the Month Club for a couple of years, but I didn't have the called for, and this was an alternate. Just double checking. Yeah, Ancient by Be Stitch Me. I mean by Picture This Plus. All right. And then next was my Heaven and Earth Stitch Along. So I'll have to put a picture in of what it's going to look like. I'm supposed to be getting 6 pages done on this. I'm starting to get concerned about that because I haven't even finished page 3. I have 2 full pages done, and I would say a lot, probably 2/3 of a third, but this one I did 1,530 stitches total. It's really a lot of fun. I love all the bright colors, which is why I picked this one. But there are several of the other Stitch Along pieces that I would like to have. So I'm gonna set this somewhere else. I really would like to get 6 pages done. I don't think there's any chance I'll get the whole thing finished and get a free chart. But if I could get the 6 pages, then I get all of the other Stitch Along designs for free. All right, next is Woman in a Field of Flowers. This is a Stitch is So Beautiful. The art is by Eder Jose Rosa, and I'll put a picture in of what it's going to look like. This one I worked on for the Stitch is So Beautiful Stitch Along they have every month. If you post at least 250 stitches a week, full stitches or 500 tint, then you get a free chart, and it's one that they haven't released yet. And so I liked the chart for this month, so I did it again. And so total I did 1,025 stitches. So this is where I am now. So it's kind of nice. I'm doing on diagonal, as you can see. And so I start up here, and the sky has a lot of more block stitching, and then you get down here and it's pretty confetti heavy, which is why I've gone and done some of the others. Well, I had that color on my needle. But I looked, the September one is very pretty, but it's not something I'm just dying to have. So I think I'll take a break from their Stitch Along this month, and then I can concentrate on some other things that I need to get done. All right, number 8 is Betsy's Halloween Basket. This one I worked on a little bit yesterday for the temperature stitching, but I'm going to tell you the stitch count just for August. So this is what it's going to look like when it's done. And I am stitching this on 32 count 18th century blackboard. And this is where we are in August. I did 279 stitches. And then yesterday I just added like this little branch and this branch. So the rest of that was already there. But it was part of my temperature stitching yesterday, so that's why I got a little bit yesterday. All right, number 9 is Lollies, Crows, and Candy Corn. And this is by Brenda Gervais. So that's what that one will look like. And I did 302 stitches on this one. I took it to a stitch day because I was filling in the pumpkin, so that's the main thing that's left, the pumpkin, and then I have to do the over one that's kind of like a handle, I guess. And I had to look up, because the name of it is Lollies, Crows, and Candy Corn. And sure enough, you can see lollipops and candy corn. Well, these little black things are crows candy. There's a candy called Crows. That's little black candy. So I had to look that up because I was like, where are the crows in this? That's what it was. And this is stitched on, I don't know. It is on 32 count light mocha from Witchelt. Okay. That was number 9. So number 10 is Halloween and cross stitch. This is from Kiori Batakori. I never know quite how to say her name. And this is on antique lace, 32 count antique lace from Hand Dyed by Stephanie. And this is a big one. I did 300 stitches on this one. Maybe I'll just fold it in half, might be better. So that's the whole thing. So I still have the witch, the rest of the words, and then there's like a paper clip on top. But what I worked on was this spool right here. That was 300 stitches. All right. Number 9 is Autumn Alphabet. This is from Lizzie Kate. So I have spring, summer, and winter completed. This is the last one I need to stitch. And I have it so I can switch them out. But I do not have a very big start on this. So I did 214 stitches. And I did the border around the M and then the acorn. And this is on 32 count clay. So that's it. Long ways to go on that one. I can't remember if I put it in my temperature stitching or not. I think so, but I'm not sure. Okay, next is Checkered Halloween. This is an old chart. I've had this for a long time. It's by M Designs. I don't even know that they're designing anymore. And I did 266 stitches. And this is on, I don't know if it's the straw natural linen, but it is a week's dye work gingham. So there's the whole thing. And I pretty much finished the border. I don't remember where I was exactly, but the border all matches up now. Well, I didn't finish it. I didn't do the white. I finished the yellow and the orange on the border. Did I say how much I did? 266 stitches. And that one. That one is on my temperature stitching. All right. The next one. This is number 13. I'll have to put a picture in of what it's going to look like. This was a stitch along from Autumn Lane Stitchery called Woodland Winter. This is on 32 count Twilight from Picture This Plus. And this is where I am on it. I did 208 stitches on this one. So I've been working on this bottom part. So I pretty much worked over here. So all that's left on the bottom is to do these 2 lines of red, and then I'll be ready to go up to the top and finish it up. It was in 4 parts, so I've got almost 3 of them done. Okay. Then next is Christmas Robin. This is a stitch along from last year, I think. Historical Sampler Company. It's on a 32 count sage green. I got the kit, so it's the fabric that came with it. And I did 230, oh, I'll have to put a picture in of what it's going to look like. And I did 233 stitches on it. So this is what the whole thing looks like. And I was working over here on this house. So the house is done. I did a little bit more of the border. And I may have had to finish this box. I don't remember. So it'll come back out when it gets closer to Christmas. And I did buy their stitch along for this year, and they were so good about sending it to the people in the US that ordered it early, so that none of us had to worry about tariffs. So that was very nice. So I have it, but I'm not going to start it yet. Okay, where is my, here it is. All right, number 15 is Santa's house. This is part of the Fabulous House series from Cottage Garden Samplings. You've seen a lot of people do this. Andrew, the runner stitcher, finished it. Stuart is working on his. He's a lot farther along than I am. But this, I did 200 stitches exactly on this one. And I was working in these motifs over here, trying to get them filled in so then I can fill in the roof. And this is on 32 count Vintage Stormy Night from Witchelt. So it's the gray version of Vintage Country Mocha. So it's solid on one side and then mottled on the other. All right. That was number 15, I believe. Yes, so that's the end of my first box. I'm gonna pause for just a minute and switch out so I can get my second box, and then we will continue. Okay, I'm back. Ready for box 2. All right, number 16 is Silent Night. This one I should have shown you at the beginning because I did actually finish it. This is a Mill Hill kit. I've had it for quite a few years. I did mine on a pickled, 28 count pickled from Picture This Plus. And there it is. It is all finished. So I pretty much did, I only did 66 stitches, which is like 132 beads. I was just doing beading. That was all I had left. So I don't know if you can see, but like all these stripes in those letters, those are beads. You can kind of see. But it is finished. So I just need to figure out how I want to fully finish it. I do have, and I've showed you this before, but the Holy Night, and I have a piece of Aztec red for it. So at some point I'll need to do that one. And so I may wait to finish Silent Night until I have Holy Night done, and then just finish them both at the same time. Okay. 17 is Festive Forest. I think there is a sheet that has the full picture. Yep. This was part of last year's Jingle Ball from the Blue Flower. So here at the bottom, you can see what the full design looks like. And then we'll finish it into this. This one, regardless of whether I had personal things going on, I wouldn't have finished it in time for the Jingle Ball, but here is where I am. And I'm getting close to getting to the end on this side. So I worked on, let's see, how many did I do on this? 233, and I did this flower and the start of the bunny. I think that was all I did this time. And it'll come out again when I'm ready to do all my Christmas stitching. Oh, this is on 32 count Valor by Picture This Plus. All right. And then 18, I was working on, I started a new one of these. This is the, I think it's the February one. Nope, May, sorry, May. It's So these are the monthly minis from Primrose Cottage. So I'm working on this one. That's May. And it was a new start. And I had to put a little pencil T on it so I knew which way was the top. Not that it really matters because it's symmetrical. But I did 224 stitches. And this is on Vintage Country Mocha. 32 count. So it's a little richer color in person. All right. I think I just have, after that one, maybe 2 others to finish. And I fully finished a bunch of them. All right, next one was a new start. This is going to be a birth sampler for my granddaughter. Where is the stitching? Here it is. And let's see if I have even the, I'll have to put a picture in of what it's going to look like. It's by Ina Stitches Lovers Shop. Here it is up here. Floral wreath. And I bought it off Etsy. And what fabric am I doing this on? I don't know. It's something I picked out of my stash. So I should have the, oh, why do I have 2 projects? Huh. It is by Me Amour from Fortnite. 32 count. So I'm sure it won't show up very well, but it's got some soft modeling on it. And I did 206 stitches on this. So that's all I got done. I need to get busy on it. She's due the end of October. So, all right. And then after that one, that was number 19. Number 20 is another new start. This is a shepherd's bush stocking. So this is Sherry's stocking. And it comes with, it just has an alphabet up here, but it comes with all the stuff you need. And this is on, I think it's 18 count, 20 count, natural brown. And I did 246 stitches, so it was another new start. So that's what I have done. That's part of her dress. So ways to go. I doubt I'll get that done this year for her for Christmas, but at least I've got a start on it. So hopefully for next year, if not this year. All right, number 21 is another Historical Sampler Society stitch along. This is a Halloween one from last year, I think. So I'll have to put a picture in of what it's going to look like. So this is what I have done. I'm doing this on a lilac, I think it's called. I tried to do cards for everything. Here it is. Yes, 32 count lilac from Hand Dyed by Steph. So that's the whole thing. And then what I worked on was this square down here with the cat. And I did 204 stitches. So I did the cat, the grass, and then did some more of the border. And I think there's square up at the black end there. So I think, I don't remember now if that's the bottom of it. Yes. So the cat is the bottom of it. So then I just have to fill in the rest of this. All right. Oh, we're only at 30 minutes. That's not too bad. Okay, number 22 is Fairy Autumn Glow. This one was also my whip go for August. So it got My needle minder is sticking to my floss ring. There we go. So it got more stitches. This is from Nora Corbett, just another name that Mirabilia and Nora Corbett are the same designer. The Nora Corbett ones are a little smaller. So I did total on this one 698 stitches. And I was working over here in the skirt. And this is on the called for 32 count beach walk by Witchelt. And it's a little greener than it shows on camera. That's a little bit better. So I have the spring one of these done, but that's the only one I have finished. Okay, I'll make sure I put it back in the right bag. All right. And then number 23 was Quick Stitch Psyche's Butterflies. So this is a Heaven and Earth. Josephine Wall is the artist, and it's a quick stitch because it's a piece of a bigger pattern. It's only 185 by 106, which is not very big for Heaven and Earth, but it's taken me years to do it. Although when I first started, I didn't have it digitally. I only had the paper copy, and I didn't have Pattern Keeper, and it's not done on gridded fabric. But since I found Pattern Keeper, I repurchased it, purchased a digital copy. Oh, and I should have gone in to see what percent I'm at, because I'm at like 90%, I think. But I did, hang on, I gotta find it over here. 871 stitches. So it was my other Whip Go call for August. So I just have to fill in this corner. I don't remember how many stitches it is. 1,500, 2,000 left. I forgot something. Okay. I'm just writing something down on my plans real quick because it has to do with this project. I told you how much. Oh, and this is on a 25 count even weave 1/1. That was also before I started doing them on 28 count. All right. Next one is Butterfly Cloche. I was so excited to work on this. I started this 2 years ago for my birthday start. Let me see. Just 1 year ago. It's on 32 count Bramble by Picture This Plus. And this is what it's going to look like when I'm done. This is by Hello from Liz Matthews. And here is where it is. And I did 380 stitches on this. Isn't that pretty? There's an error somewhere in his wing, but as long as I count everything off of where I know it's correct, it shouldn't cause any problems. Nobody will know. It's always so hard to show fabric because it's kind of a soft greenish modeling. All right. Next one is number 25. This is Honey Bees and Stitching Please from Primrose Cottage. And I did, this is on, I think it's a Bestitch Me, 32 count Grog from Bestitch Me, Lugana, so it's an even weave. And I did 204 stitches. So I did these little things down here and this, these letters. And I think I have to rip out these letters. I think the S is okay, but the rest of that I have to rip out. but I had gotten to my 200 stitches and I was done for the night. So I said, okay. So I just made a note on my working copy that I have to rip that out. So I remember and don't stitch anymore. All right, number 26 was another new start. This is one I want to make for, we have a playroom. It's like a sunroom, but we've turned it into a playroom for the grandkids. Oh, he's so cute. So this is Farm Tier from Erin Elizabeth. And I'm doing it on Vintage Country Mocha 32 count, and I got the little goat done. Isn't he cute? I did 233 stitches on this one. Super cute. And these this is my first Erin Elizabeth and one of her in the first tier. And her tiers are much smaller than is it Madame Chantilly that has the Celebrate ones? Because I have the summer one of that started, and it's quite big. All right, next is a monthly Quaker. I'm trying to find the right, here it is, the right one. This is the September Quaker. This is from the Heart Needle Art. That's what it will look like. This was the first one that was called. I was so excited. I hadn't worked on it for a while, and I did 256 stitches all up here, these two motifs, and this whole motif is going to have to be ripped out because I started off of the wrong leg of the little one. So next time, again, I made a note on my working copy so that I'll remember to rip that out and try again. This was on 32 count platinum by Picture This Plus. And I have, I think, just the March one done. I have all of the patterns, but just the March one is done. All right, next is Square Dance. This is a whole series of charts from Heart and Hand, but I was working on July. And she really did well with this, so she didn't make it just American. Because my friend from Canada is like, I don't need patriotic in July or Thanksgiving in November. So this one she kept it generic. So this is the whole thing. I'm doing them all on one piece of fabric. And July is what, whoops, let's get that out of the way so it's not so confusing. July is what I worked on. So I had it started and I did 287 stitches and that finished the July square. So over halfway. And then there's a free border that has the words that go along the bottom. So this will be fun to frame or finish when I'm done with it. All right, almost done. Number 29 is Bord de Mer from Madame Lefay. I'm sorry, I don't speak French, so I don't know. And I did 250 stitches on this one. So this is what the whole thing looks like. Oops. And I was working on this coral, putting in the lightest color on it. And this is on Misty Rain, 32 count. Vintage Misty Rain, maybe? It says LS 32V Misty Rain. Again, I need to get a cheat sheet for all of the acronyms. All right, two more. Number 30 is my one chatelaine, and it's the Paris mandala. And this one's going to be really hard to show the whole thing. So I do have, here's the whole thing. And I do have this Eiffel Tower. I don't know if I can get it loosened up enough to show you. So there's the whole Eiffel Tower on the top that I have done. And those are, they're a challenge. Sorry, it's probably kind of bangy, isn't it? But what I was working on was this building over here. And so I did 224 stitches. And I'm not sure what fabric this is. I didn't bring down the whole bag of it, all of its threads and beads and everything. So it's just a pretty basic, I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know what that is, but it's probably a 32 count. But I did buy the kit from European Cross Stitch years ago when I started it. Okay, and the last one for Arbitrary August is from this Just Cross Stitch. It's a stitch along. Several people, you've probably seen several people working on this. I'm still in spring. This is what spring will look like. Summer we've had for a while. I've heard that autumn is out. My LNS did not have it when I was there last week. So I'll have to pick it up next time I'm in there. And I did 269 stitches on this. And there's the whole thing. Well, all of the spring that I've worked on. And I'm getting there. I finished up the bumblebee. I haven't done any back stitching, so his wings aren't in, the butterfly's antennas aren't in. But I finished up the bumblebee, and then I did this nest here. And I did not have, my LNS did not have it, and I didn't have it either. The called for is from Be Stitch Me, I think, Into the Veil, but I got 32 count vellum from Picture This Plus. And it seems to be working out well, I think. Woo! Okay, that was a lot of projects for 1 month. That is all my Arbitrary August projects. So if you count just the Arbitrary August stitches, that was 5,976. I'll put this back in there too. And then if you add on the additional stitches I did on like the Whip Go ones or the Heaven and Earth Sal that I'm trying to get more in, total it was 12,350 stitches. So that's quite a bit for 1 month for me. Okay, let me talk about plans and then I'll show you haul and then we'll be done. How are we doing? 42 minutes, that's not bad. Okay, plans. Whip Go, the Fancy Lady is Fairy Autumn Glow. I've already shown you that because I worked on it in August. The full coverage, which I'm really excited. I haven't worked on this one for a while. That I will be working on for Whip Go is the Grand Library. So I'll have to put a picture in of what it's going to look like. We always have to completely refold these to show them. So if you haven't been here around when I've talked about my Whip Go, I changed mine up. I had 2 boards to start out the year, one that was Fancy Lady and one that was full coverage. And so I was going to try and do 500 stitches on 2 Fancy Ladies each and 500 stitches on 2 full coverage each. And that was just too much with the Heaven and Earth stitch along and the Extraordinary Birds I was trying to do. So I did a mashup and I just put both options in each square. And so when they call the numbers, I decide which ones I want to do. But I do 1 Fancy Lady and 1 full coverage. So the Fancy Lady was Fairy Autumn Glow that I chose. And the full coverage of the 2 that were listed was Grand Library. And I'll put a picture in of what it's going to look like. And this is where I am. So I'm really excited to start working on this some more. I may just go through and try and stitch in all my part threads. I've kind of gotten away, starting with those probably, gotten away from parking and gone back to just diagonal. So I may just start working in those just to get it cleaned up a little bit. But I'm excited to get some more work done on that. It's one of my favorites. It's by Amy Stewart. The artwork is by Amy Stewart. It's a Heaven and Earth Designs And I love her. Most of hers I would stitch, but I don't have enough lifetimes to do that. So that's Whip Go, Fairy Autumn Glow, Grand Library, temperature stitching, and I've already shown you all these, so I'm just going to go through them. Not going to try and find them and pull them back out. What I did is I took 0 through 9. If you're not familiar with temperature stitching, I took 0 through 9 and assigned each number to a whip, and then the second digit of the high temperature for that day determines which whip I work on that day. Now, I was trying to keep up with weight, you know, tonight, look to see what today's high was and stitch it tomorrow, and that was just too much. So on Sundays, I just go through and say, what's the forecasted high for each day, and I write that down, and that's what I go from, and that's just easier. And it doesn't really matter. It's just you know, it's not like I'm doing a temperature stitch where I'm stitching a certain color. It's just to pick a whip, so it doesn't really matter. So temperature stitching for 0 is Dressmaker's Daughter. 1 is Betsy. So the way I did this is I did 1 non-Halloween and 1 Halloween or fall. 0, Dressmaker's Daughter. 1 is Betsy's Halloween Basket. 2 is Seasons of the Heart. So I'll still work on the summer one. Hopefully I can get that finished and start on the autumn one at some point. 3, Lolly's Crows and Candy Corn. 4, Spring Alphabet Garden. 5, Halloween and Cross Stitch. 6, Oops-a-Daisy. 7, Autumn Alphabet. That's the one I wasn't sure if I had in there. 8, Honeybees. And 9, Checkered Halloween. So that's my temperature stitching. On top of that, so I whip go temperature stitching, and temperature stitching, I just do 100 stitches a day. So I just like watch one show for an hour and stitch, and that usually takes care of it. In addition to those, I'm going to work on the burst sampler for my granddaughter and the stocking for my daughter-in-law, the Heaven and Earth stitch along. I hope to get a lot done. I hope I can do some more on Extraordinary Birds. We'll see. And then there's another new thing. Oh, I have lost her name. She is one of the ones that runs Full Coverage Fanatics, but she's doing Gridiron Grind. And it's pretty much, you can kind of decide what you want to do, but you pick a whip and associate it with football, and then determine what you're going to stitch. So I'm going to do that quick stitch Psyche's butterflies that I'm getting close to being done. And you follow a team. So like my team is the Chiefs. I grew up in Kansas. I've been a Chiefs fan my whole life. So I'm going with the Chiefs, and I'm going to do 10 stitches per point. So every week when they play a game, I'll stitch 10 stitches for each point that they score. And I may do, in postseason, I may do 15 and then Super Bowl 20. And I know a lot of people say, yeah, if that happens, well, with the Chiefs, they definitely will probably get in the postseason, and hopefully we'll get in the Super Bowl again. We'll see. So that's another thing. Oh, and this will be a part of my haul. So let's get into haul, because there's one more stitch along I would like to do. This is a lot of stitching. If only I didn't have to clean my house. That would make it easier. Okay, let's do haul. All right, so I got the next 2 monthly mini from Country Cottage. So September, I haven't started on any of these, but I have been collecting them. October, and then my LNS has just I think it's beige, beautiful beige, 32 count. They've just pre-cut all of these for me, and so they just, when they put a chart in my box, they put a piece of fabric in there for it. And then We Santa 2025, sorry for the glare. He is so cute. Oh my goodness. I actually started one of them from several years ago. I can't remember. This is a new one from Brenda Gervais, Quaker Snippets #1. So a fall one. Let's see, it calls for Weeks Dye Works and Gentle Arts and Classic Color Works. So that's really pretty. And then there was another Brenda Gervais that I didn't have. And I saw somebody, it was like red quilt or something. It It was a new one I had run across, and I really liked her floss tube. But she had done this one, and I thought it was so cute. Hallows Eve at Raven's Hollow. Another Brenda Gervais. Isn't that fun? And this was another new Brenda Gervais. This is Autumn Trio, so I had already purchased Spring and Summer Trio. How cute. Look at that fox. So cute. And then these were on sale, and I'll have to get the other two. I think I saw them on 1, 2, 3 Stitch because my LNS didn't have them. But this all started with what you'll see in a minute. So these are from Blueberry Ridge, so they're spring. And they're just all stitched one color. Summer. And they do have fall and winter. Like I said, they didn't have those in my LNS, so I'll have to get those. But they all started from, let me show you that next. Sorry, I didn't get these unzipped. They showed us this pattern, which I think was new. So this is Sampler Holidays Halloween Blueberry Ridge. And the fabric that it calls for, they had in 40 count. Let's see. Early Halloween by XJU Designs, which was really a fun fabric, but they didn't have it in 32, and I don't work on 40 count. But I found this. This is a 32 count Mirage from Picture This Plus. So it's kind of got a little bit of a purple tint to it. And they just had an effect quarter. I don't know how much of this I'll need. So then I went to the wall of floss and picked out the Witching Hour to stitch it in. So I think that will be really pretty. So then one of this oh so helpful workers there at my LNS said, oh, they have a Thanksgiving one too. And they didn't have it there, but I ordered it. But while I was there looking at fabric, we ran across this fabric, which we thought was just beautiful and would be perfect for it. Let me see what this is. This is Stephanie's hand dyed 32 count Mysterious Wood. Isn't that beautiful? So since I had the fabric there with me, since I was purchasing it, I thought, well, I need to figure out the floss. So I got this Fallen Leaves by Classic Colorworks. So they're ordering the pattern for me. I already have floss and fabric for it now. And there's also a Christmas one. So we'll have to get that one, I'm sure, when it comes out. But because we had picked up, oh, this was a new bag I got. I forgot. It was somebody that was there stitching with me, and I said, oh, I love that fall one. I would like to buy one. She's like, okay, I have some at home. And she says, well, why don't you just take this one? I'll have to see if I can find her Etsy shop and link it below, because I don't remember. Her name is Renee, but I can't remember her shop name. But because we had bought those fall, or the Halloween and the other, that's where they said, one of the ladies said, oh, I think we have those seasonal ones here on sale, and they did. I am a part of the Little Help from Our Friends Club from Silver Needle, so we got our new one of that, and it comes with everything you need, plus a little gift. And the little gift this time, you can kind of see it. It's, I think they call it a star. It's one of these, let me just pull it out, where you can pull ends if you have just a short end. Star detailer. So it's just got this long little wire loop, and you can, if you've got an end that's too short to run under your threads or something to finish it, you can use that. All right, and then the last thing, and I don't have any picture to put in because it's going to be a new stitch along. This is the new Satsuma Street Christmas house. Is that what it's called? Let's see. I don't know if it says on here what it's called. Nope, but I think it's Christmas house. So they had a monster house and they had an animal house previously. And so this is going to be similar to that, but Christmas. And I saw just a sneak peek of it. Oh my goodness, it's going to be so cute. And so they recommended just, I think, is it raw? Yeah. And I did 32. They said 28, but I did 32. And I've got all my threads ready. And then it said if you wanted to, you could replace the 729 with a metallic. And then you could replace some of the B5200 with the iridescent white. So what I pulled is I went ahead and bought a petite treasure braid that matched, to me, looked like the 729 DMC. And then I had some Krynic blending filament. Let me just pull this. I think it's probably 032. Yeah. It's all mixed up with my B5200. So some Krynic blending filament. So my thought is I would take a strand of that with my B5200 and stitch with that. Where I want sparkly white, which would probably be snow. So there might be some places where you don't want sparkly white. Anyway, this starts Friday, the 5th of September, so we'll see if I can get that. Also, in my plans, I have so much I want to stitch, and I keep buying more, and I really need to quit buying because I have way more than I could ever stitch in my lifetime. But as my friend says, my friend Marion, she watches my videos now. She says it's two different hobbies. Collecting and stitching are two different hobbies, and I seem to be doing well at both. All right, that is it for today. We just made it under an hour. That's longer than normal for me, but I had a lot of whips to show you and some plans to talk about. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you first part of October yeah, it is September. I can't believe it's September, to show you what I got done in September. All right, bye.